Greetings everybody and welcome back to another video. So today I wanted to read another story. This one is The Tale of Peter Rabbit. This one is by Beatrix Potter. And apparently all of her books are really tiny. So this is going to be kind of a close-up storytelling hour. So there's a bunch of pages in front with a lot of information. So go ahead and try and just get to the actual story, which looks like it's right here. And I do like these animations. So hopefully we can kind of just lull you to sleep with a nice little fairy tale. So once upon a time there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived near their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a very big tree. "Now, my dears," said old Mrs. Rabbit one morning, "you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden." So all of them, the kids, and Mr. Peter Cottontail. "Your father had an accident there, and he was put into a pie by Mrs. McGregor. Now run along and don't get into any mischief while I'm going out." That's everybody running along and the mother just kind of hanging out there. Then old Mrs. Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella and went through the wood to the baker's. She bought a loaf of brown bread and 5 currant buns. I'm not sure what a currant bun is actually. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were very good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blackberries. Here's them gathering blackberries. The few little birds in their little picnic basket. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden. Has a little blue jacket on. And squeezed under the gate. First, he ate some lettuces, and then some French beans, and then he ate some radishes. There he is having a lovely time. There's a little bird sitting on the post. And then, feeling rather sick, he went to look for some parsley. Around the end of a cucumber frame, whom should he meet but Mr. McGregor? There's Mr. McGregor with his white beard and glasses. Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees planting out young cabbages, but he jumped up and ran after Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop, thief." There they are, just running, and there's a little rake. Peter was most dreadfully frightened He rushed all over the garden, for he had forgotten the way back to the gate. He lost one of his shoes among the cabbages. There's his little shoe down there, the little bird. And the other shoe amongst the potatoes. There's his other shoe right down there. After losing them, he ran on 4 legs and went faster, so that I think he might have gotten away altogether if he had not unfortunately ran into a gooseberry net and got caught by the large buttons on his jacket. It was a blue jacket with brass buttons, quite new. There he is, just hanging out of the net. Those are the gooseberries. Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears, but his sobs were overheard by some friendly sparrows who flew to him in great excitement and implored him to exert himself. There's the 3 sparrows. 1, 2, 3. Peter got down right here. Mr. McGregor came up with a sieve, which he intended to pop on top of Peter. But Peter wriggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind him. I guess that's a sieve. Sieve is possibly a kind of bucket or basket. 1, 2, 3. And rushed into a tool shed and jumped into a can. Would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it had not had so much water in it. There's the little can. And there's Peter jumping into it, trying to hide. Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed, perhaps hidden underneath a flower pot. He began to turn them over carefully, looking under each. Presently, Peter sneezed. Gertie shoe. Mr. McGregor was after him in no time. There's all the little pots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And trying to put his foot upon Peter, who jumped out of the window, upsetting 3 plants. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he was tired of running after Peter. He went back to his work. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There's his shoe. And there's Peter. Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath and trembling with fright, and he had not the least idea which way to go. Also, he was very, very damp, sitting in that can. There's Peter, hanging out on the curb. After a time, he began to wonder about going lippity-lippity, not very fast and looking all around. He found a door in the wall, but it was locked, and there was no room for fat little Peter Rabbit to squeeze underneath. An old mouse was running out and over the stone doorstep, carrying peas and beans to her family in the wood. Peter asked her the way to the gate, but she said she had such a large pea in her mouth that she could not answer. She only shook her head at him, and Peter began to cry. Then he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he became more and more puzzled. Presently he came to a pond where Mr. McGregor filled his water cans. A white cat was staring at some goldfish. She sat very, very still, but now and then the tip of her tail twitched as if she were alive. As if it were alive. Peter thought it best to go away without speaking to her. He had heard about cats from his cousin, little Benjamin Bunny. There's Peter in the can. There's the white cat. Sort of reminds me of my little cat, Whitbird. He went back towards the tool shed, but suddenly, quite close to him, he heard a noise of a hoe. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scritch. Peter scuttered underneath the bushes. And here's Peter just sitting in wait underneath the little bushes. But presently, as nothing